We are already in the heart of NFL draft season, even though the season actually just ended. And I'm joined here tonight by Mike Rittelmann, my director of scouting and player personnel for the College Gridiron Showcase. And I think the College Gridiron Showcase is really interesting. It kind of kicks off the All-Star season, the run through that we get with all these players. And Mike, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And maybe do a little bit of introduction, give some background about what you do, the journey to where you ended up.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. I always love talking ball and about CGS. So my background starts, back in you're gonna make me date myself here. So 2016, I was a young intern for CGS, and I started there, and then kind of grew my role. Jose Jefferson and Craig Redditt are the two co-founders. Have really created a special event, and our niche for the College Gridiron Showcase, or CGS for short, is that fifth, sixth, seventh round prospective draft prospect, but that high priority UDFA, and we've had a lot of success in the past with the that type of prospect. A couple of our alums are Keenan Nwangu, who is actually second team All Pro kick returner when he was with the Vikings. Gunnar Olszewski, who made the transition from defensive back in college at Bemidji State to wide receiver, who was a second team All Pro punt returner. Um, you know, Matt Breida, running back for the 49ers, Giants, and all that. So the list goes on and on. And again, love fantasy football, played it for years, in high school, college, and all that. And, with my buddies and graduating out of college. So, really the cool part about this is like, understanding the concept of like those back end of the roster type of players that can play key roles in the long run.
Yeah, so this is the Dynasty channel. So we really get, those deeper rosters through Dynasty. And so people doing their rookie drafts, people getting ready for their rookie drafts. And so they love those, the late dart throws that they can throw there and hit it
Yeah.
right. And, it's really great. And I really enjoy what you all are doing with your
Oh,
game,
thank you.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, the model around it of kind of just giving players an opportunity, and I think
Yeah.
that everything about your game, the branding, everything is about an opportunity, and so I think that's one of the cool things about just the All Star scene in general, where we're heading into Shrine Bowl season now, and
Yep.
you hear the stories during that game of being involved with the Shriners Hospital and
Yep.
all those great stories there, what you all are doing and just allowing players. And I think it's interesting the way that championship or the College Gridiron Showcase and then moving to a new opportunity at
Yep.
Shrine Bowl or the American or the
Yep.
new American Bowl, those types of things. And kind of how do you view that landscape changing? How has that been for you?
Yeah, you know what? And then the other All Star games do a fantastic job. Scott Phillips over the American Bowl, Eric Galco at the Shrine Bowl, and then Drew Fabianch at the Senior Bowl, the new executive director there. And I still say All Star games are still football All Star games are still play an important key role in the draft process because you see that prospect in a different light. And I say this too for any like low round, under the radar prospect. All Star games are key because you're getting your name out, getting your face out there, in front of scouts, in front of teams. So I really think this is always a beneficial opportunity. And the cool thing about CGS, us being one of the first All Star games off the docket, we just had four guys get invited to the American Bowl, which was a fantastic honor. Drew Bieber was actually one tight end from Minnesota. Actually did had a great couple days at CGS. And then the last 4 or 5 years we've had a participant in the Shrine Bowl. And then another fun fact: Taylor Elgersma, who was the Canadian quarterback from Wilfrid Laurier, CGS alum, got a Senior Bowl invite last year. So it's this cool opportunity seeing these guys flourish at the next level. But going back to your previous question is the all-star games are important for gathering information, really seeing a different view for the prospect. And, I love this time of year, love seeing this. And, fans should be equally excited to see, how this process goes.
Yeah, I really view this time of the year, it's kind of almost like a paint by number, where you've got
Yep.
kind of the outline of the picture, and then each layer through
Yeah.
the All-Star games are important window to that, and then you move into the combine and you move through pro days, and it really just kind of builds the picture on top. And so it's just interesting to see how players progress and players move through there. I think one of the things that I think is interesting about a guy like, really off the radar, guys like Isaac Tisla last year, that kind of comes
Yep.
out of nowhere. Doesn't put up big numbers in college necessarily, but hits so many of those traits that NFL teams are looking for. So I think
Absolutely.
it's, yeah, it's awesome that just have that opportunity, and have people like yourself out there. I think one of the really cool things that you all do, if you check out the website out there, is just the database that you build
Yeah.
of players. And I think it's, I've joked with my friend Matt Waldman, and everybody knows the RSP and
Oh
everything
my
Matt
gosh, a
does.
legend, a
Yeah,
legend.
yeah, we do Thursday Night Live on the Audible here on Football Guys, and so Matt
I
and I
would
do
love
that
to be a
show.
guest on that, just to be a fly
We'll
on the
have to
wall.
have you on. We'll
Oh
definitely
my
have you on.
gosh, yeah, he's that is oh, that's awesome. Sorry, I just
Yeah,
nerded
we'll
out a
have you
little
on,
bit.
Mike. Just yeah, shoot me a note to remind me when we come into next season. We'll definitely
That's
have you on.
awesome.
But yeah, no, and Matt and I talked about how like one of his editors was asking him about, like, well, like, where's the list? And Matt's like, well, like, I'm making the list. There is no list. And I think that, we're deep in the Football Guys rookie guide, and this is year 5 of doing that, and I'm really pulling that list together to be able to have we end up around 160, 170 players that we do
Yeah,
profiles for. And I think
yeah,
your website is a great place there. And one of
absolutely.
the things that I love about your game, about, like, you just submit nominations, like, allow
Yeah.
players, like, and kind of just being open to that, I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's actually I don't mean to detour here, but I can actually go through
Oh,
our
take
process
it.
how we yeah, okay, cool. So, kind of we're in our decompression phase. So like, all right, the event just happened, great event. So we'll take, what I'll actually do, myself, Jose and Craig, and then Gino Camilleri, who's also our assistant DPP and director of scouting. During the pro day circuit, we'll actually track all these pro day results, and then
Yeah.
and most of our guys, we don't get combine invites. Maybe once in a while. I think the last one was Jalen Brooks, or the South Carolina receiver who got drafted by the Cowboys. I think it was like two,
Yep.
3 years ago. He was at the combine. But other than that, we don't have that many combine guys, and that's okay. Again, back end of the roster type of guys, but we'll track them and we'll compare them to what the results of the combine are, and be like, hey, he would have ranked 10th out of defensive tackles, or fifth out of running backs in the vertical or something like that. So it gives everyone a perspective. Okay, like, this is the type of athlete we're bringing to CGS. Like, and I joke around. My 3-year-old son can tell me the top 200 college football players. I mean, I think it's what we're doing is, it takes some time, and from that perspective is okay. After the pro days, after the draft, we'll start up as a scouting team probably in late July, early August, and then we'll come together. We're talking with agents, we're talking with schools, pro liaisons, gathering that information, talking to coaches, and then we'll have a watch list of probably, like, I want to say 500 to 1,000 players, and that's encompassing FBS, D2, FCS, D3, NAIA, even youth sports in Canada. I mean, again, I'm getting off topic here, but we had
You're
16
good.
Canadian prospects at CGS this year. And then another fun fact was 22% of the CFL draft picks last year were at CGS. So it's like we're making an impact, a global impact, where we're not just focusing on the NFL guys.
Yeah.
There's CFL, there's UFL, the IFL. So the more opportunity, the more exposure we can provide for these players attending our event, the better it is for everyone. So going back to the scouting process, then by first week, second week in October, we have our board set. We're looking, watching the games, and then that Halloween, first week in November, we're sending invites out. So it's a cumulative effect of our process, bringing in 200 to 250 guys, 230 guys, excuse me, per year, and it's it's great, and we love this process, and we have a great team behind it.
Am I allowed to ask maybe behind the scenes a little bit of like how like if you think you've got a player lined up or some players
Yeah.
lined up and then like you lose them and like how much does that throw a wrench in the process or like kind of
We're all competitive here, and we
yeah
are. Like, oh man, we wish we had a player, but like, if a player has an opportunity to go to a bigger game, go. We tell them go,
yeah
go. Just like go after your dream. That's only helping the player. At the end of the day, we're here for the players. Um, but as we set our board, though, okay, we have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that type of thing. So, it's a lot of film watching. It's a lot of um, a perspective of okay, we're talking to people too, and I'm a CFL scout. I'm with the Calgary Stampeders as well,
yeah
so kind of dual role with that background and all that. But yeah, it's a labor of love, but it's awesome. And my wife always tells me I need a hobby, but no, I tell her football. But no, it's great, and we can chat more ball.
Yeah, that's awesome, and exactly right. It just like feeds into the
Yep,
game, the way the attitude that you have
yep,
around the game and everything. Of just it really is about. Obviously, you guys are running a business at some level, but like at the
yep,
same time, it really is about the players and
yep.
giving them opportunity and being able to pay it forward and not feeling bad if they were to get a better opportunity.
Absolutely,
I think that's just a great mentality in life.
yeah,
So we've seen
absolutely.
yeah, we've seen a lot of changes lately in the college game. And so
Yeah,
like, just with NIL, the transfer portal,
yeah.
and with players, now it seems like so I went to Ohio University. I'm a Mac guy. When I was in school, I'll date myself. You dated yourself. I'll
Mac
date
Nation, baby.
myself. Yeah, I'll date myself big time. When I was in school, it was when Ben Roethlisberger and Byron Leftwich were in the Mac, and so there was a
That's a
run
great
like
time
with
of football, man, though. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
it was amazing, and then, like,
Oh,
Antonio Brown, Eric Fisher was the number 1 pick in the draft from the MAC, but, like,
oh,
now
man.
anymore, like so I'm a Ohio Bobcat fan, and,
Yep,
like, they lost their entire team, like, 2 years ago,
yep,
like, after they won the
yep,
MAC, and so
yep.
these players are constantly moving up and getting bigger opportunities. How has that affected your process on maybe players that might have been kind of in that range for, your game, and then they get that step up the year before, and now they're kind of moving in a different direction.
So it's an interesting dynamic in a couple ways. The first way you're looking at it, okay, say if a player is moving up from a program, say if he's going from D2 to FBS, but he's not playing that much. So there's the aspect and the scouting aspect, and then this comes in with our partners at Tracking Football, which they do a phenomenal job. Mark Branson and his team bringing that data, like track background data, and really, I might not be explaining it totally correctly,
Okay.
but um, wish I was an analytical guy, but I'm not. But
You're a
so
football guy, that's why you're here.
yeah, exactly. So, but Mark and his team do a phenomenal job in helping us build out the roster and seeing the prospect in a different light. Really looking at that athletic background of that prospect. So, for example, if a guy is moving up and they don't play much, there's still something that makes them a quality prospect. So, um, that helps us because okay, he doesn't have the glitz and glamour like he did before, but he still has athletic qualities that make him stand out. So um, that's another way. And then, the transfer portal itself, you could see it from a guy making a lateral move to another school, maybe going down a level. I mean, and prospering there. There's a whole different type of ways. I mean, the main thing is that, you want to be able to see the guy as a whole picture. So, what he's done in his whole body of work. We love to see guys, go a level up and perform at a high level. And, like Jared Verse. Jared Verse is a prime example of this.
Yeah.
Going from Albany to Florida State, and now he's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL right now. So there's a whole different multitude of ways of viewing how the transfer portal. Is it hectic? Absolutely. I'm lucky I'm not one of those college scouting departments right now or the last month and a half because they were running around like the with chickens with their head cut off. But I mean it's a different dynamic. But for an all-star game perspective, you have to look at it from a couple different ways, like we talked about. But in the end, I think you just it differs between prospects because you don't know how it's gonna if you're going to get that prospect or if that prospect's not playing. You have to look at the whole picture because teams might be still interested to see him perform in front of an event like CGS.
Has NIL made the pool deeper that you can pick from a little bit? Because we've seen, I guess, kind of it's the underclassmen that are moving through probably wouldn't be hitting the All-Star games anyways, but we've definitely seen a decrease in underclassmen that are declaring for the NFL draft. And we've
Right.
really seen a shift in the NIL landscape where a couple of years ago when it first came in, you had a team like Texas A&M just go out and get every blue chip
Right.
high school kid that they could, and then they
Yeah.
realized half those guys
Yeah.
left and half those guys couldn't play, and now all of a sudden you've got it the opposite end where Indiana University is the national champion
Yeah. Yeah.
right now because they're loaded with 24-year-old guys and just guys that have been in the college football for longer. Has that made the pool deeper for you all?
It That's a great question. That's a tough question because it just depends on the position. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
look at it because if you're looking at a quarterback, for example, a quarterback who is a mid to late round, maybe high priority free agent, I go back to school for a couple mil and not have to worry about going in the draft and trying to fight for a roster spot and all that. I mean, it depends. I mean, from a running back perspective, you have to worry about the mileage of the back. So if it's a guy who's been in school for 5-6 years, I'm just guesstimating here, but like that's some wear and tear on that back. So I mean, it I think it depends on the position. Have we seen trends where there's a deeper class in positions? Yeah, of course. I think every All Star game has. I think just in the overall draft, but I couldn't say it's overall because it's going to be it varies from position.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we probably can't not talk about one of the weirder stories of your game. You had Jacoby Clinton playing in your game, and then
Yeah,
brother of Ha Ha Clinton Dix, and then he hits the portal after your game.
you know, to say that was the first time that's happened, I can't say it because it's not. So I think the last 2 or 3 years we've seen a player or two that have been at our event hit the portal,
Yeah,
and uh, there was a player that was at our event last year. I'll give you a position, but and then I won't give the name, but he was at the event last year. Went through the process and then ended up at a Power Five school. I had a scout from an NFL team. I was watching a game at that school. Said I graduated with him in high school. So that's where I'm like,
yeah,
oh, so yeah, it's not the first time. I, it's not unheard of, but it's like, wow, that happened. So it's
yeah,
yeah. So seeing Jacoby and good luck to him in his journey. And
yeah.
yeah, he was there at CGS, and then he actually left after the first day to go to the Hula Bowl, which I don't think he went to it. And then a couple days later, he's now in the portal. Did he choose a school yet, or no?
I'm not sure if he chose a school yet or not.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, more power to him. Good luck to him in his journey. But yeah, that was a weird situation there. It caught me off guard. I thought it was one of those like fake Twitter posts, and I'm like, wait, and it wasn't. So
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, the athlete's going to do what's best for the athlete, and we wish him all the best.
yeah, we definitely don't want to leave you all in the lurch there of like having an open spot where you needed a body there, but then it is kind of does feed into that a little
Yeah,
bit of, like you're there to help, and if
yeah,
that helps him
absolutely.
land somewhere that can develop him, then yeah,
Yeah,
but it's just a
absolutely.
weird thing. So I
Caught
want
me
to talk
off guard,
about,
man.
yeah, imagine the importance of interviews. I think it's one of those things that as we're kind of like in the scouting world and we're trying to put this together, like we can see how fast a player looks and we can see how they measure. We're not in sitting in the room with them in interviews, but I think one of the awesome things about your game is just giving how many NFL teams have representatives and just give
Yeah,
players an opportunity to get in the room with it. And reality of it is this entire thing is a job interview process, and kind of just the importance of interviews around what you've been able to build.
Yeah, so we usually have 31 out of the 32 teams. There's always a team or one of the two teams that don't show up. And it's okay. We still get the same information from our event that everyone does from the measurement perspective. I think the biggest thing is from the interview was is that you get to see the different side of the prospect. You get to really open the book up and really see, okay, what makes this guy tick. And from the questions vary from team to team and everything like that. But again, it's all throughout this draft process, like the All Star games, the pro days, everything like that. It's information finding. You're gathering information to paint that picture of that prospect. And I think looking at it from a wider view is okay. I saw him at CGS, then I saw him at his pro day. Then we really got to we got to take him out to dinner, really sit down with him, and you can recount those events and perspectives of okay, what was he like here, here, and here, and then what was our conversation like, what was demeanor and everything like that. And again, it paints that picture of okay, what is this prospect? How is he going to fit in our culture? That type of deal. And CGS, we allow unlimited time frame and for interviews, and then we actually another key component we have scout runners. So the scout runners are interns that actually through CGSU is an internship program we've created and built. Um, it's allowing people who want to get in the industry to build a network. And we've seen a lot of people get jobs in the NFL, CFL, UFL, IFL through this opportunity. But those scout runners, it's allowing these scouts not worry about chasing down these prospects, trying to get them to talk. And then literally they give a sheet to the scout runner, they bring a prospect. These scouts love it because they're done so quickly. And
Yeah.
they get in, get the information, get it done. And I've had received many compliments from scouts and teams saying we love the process because you get it out, get us in and get us out, and there's no waiting around. So, yeah, the interview process is a key component of that.
Yeah, that's great. And all right, now I want to give you the floor. I want to let you nerd out here a little bit. I mean,
Okay, let's rock and
you've
roll.
put so much work into
Yeah,
these players, and you've been on the ground floor with them, and now they're moving on in the process. But
yeah.
who's your favorite? So, or like, who are those guys that have popped out as you've gone through? Maybe not favorite, might not be the right way to say it, but just those guys that have
I
popped out
think
through.
guys who stood out and I'll start off with quarterbacks. There's two that come to mind. One is Brady Olson from Central Connecticut State. 6'3" and 3/8, 210 pounds, first team all conference type of guy, can wing it. Another quarterback, Jackson Waring. So NAIA, Grand View University, 34 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. 6'3", 225. My big boy throwing the rock.
Yeah,
We had EJ Warner, son of Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner. EJ's bounced around, but with EJ, he won the American Athletic Conference Rookie of the Year in 2022 with Temple. He has 10,000 career passing yards. That's impressive in itself. Um, you know, Going from the running back position, Elijah Howard, another Central Connecticut alum, with Brady. He actually won NEC Offensive Player of the Year, 1,000-yard rusher with 11 touchdowns. And let me see what the receiving here. He had 335 yards receiving with 5 touchdowns. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Going down here, Jordan Vaughn, Abilene Christian, 6'2" and 7/8 and 229 pounds. Big back, big back. So, and then another one for special teams value, Vaughn Pemberton, Boston College, 5'11" and 3/8, 230 pounds. You're probably thinking, why am I bringing this guy up? There is going to be special teams value. I like this the special teams film from Boston College. Phenomenal. Just the guy who's willing, and then Ball State as well. Came in as a linebacker. They made him switch to linebacker, then running back, or somehow he has both linebacker and running back experience. The physicality is there. And then going to the tight ends, we had a great group. Ethan Connor from Troy, 6'3", 231 pounds. Blake Bosma, Western Michigan, 6'2" and 7/8, 235 pounds. Charles Garrison, from Northern Colorado, 6'4.5", 252 pounds at the FCS level. And another guy, this is your H-back type of guy, is Trey Williams from North Texas. 6'1" and 3/8 with 226 pounds. And then Drew Biber from Minnesota put on a show at CGS, and then also got the American Bowl invite. We had him at 6'3", 5/8 and 246 pounds. And then the group that really stood out to me was the receiver group we had, and we had a lot of big receivers. So Chaz Middleton from Rubber Morse, he's 6'4" and 1/8, first team all conference receiver in the NEC.
Yeah.
And then Tyler Pezza from Brown, 6'3", 230. Those are guys who are going to have special teams value right away, like teams value, late round, high UDFA type of guys. Like, I'm not saying, guarantee UDFA, but like the length is important from the special teams value. Malik McClain, Arizona State, 6'4" and 1/4. And then Malik Mega is going to be a high round CFL guy. And 6'3", if I can find it. I wish I could find. Oh, right here, 6'3" and 3/4, 197. High special teams value from there. I believe a special teams captain at Coastal Penn State, where he transferred from.
Okay.
And then another guy to keep an eye on is Levi Wentz from Kansas. So interesting story. Pittsburgh kid, where I'm from, and then he was a high recruit as a defensive back. So he's only been playing receiver for like 2 or 3 years. The athletic ability to switch from that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And, a great athletic profile. Shaquille Knotts from Maryland, 6'1", 3/8, 192, real productive receiver. And I can go on and on and on and on. But like just Gerard Bradley, he's that tweener at Kansas State. He was at Kansas State and then Boston College and Texas Tech. 6'5", 1/8, 235. He's going to try to make the transition as that big flex tight end as well, but the dude's athletic. And these guys, they're big bodies. They can play in the slot, play on the outside. But again, they have this special teams value, not as a returner, but like that gunner, that kickoff, kick return, that type of thing. A big body blocking type. So lot of. Oh, I got one more for you. All-American D3 kid, Dylan Wheeler from St. John, 6'1" and 1/8, 201. And then I lied. I have another one for you. So if Gage Florence had from Minnesota State Moorhead had 105 receptions last year. 105. So it's so cool where you can get and see the value and the production, what all these athletes bring. So, for you fantasy nerds out there, I bet on the guy with 105 receptions, regardless of level. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you really hit it great. That was fantastic. And I think one of the things really that special teams, and one of the things
yep.
I was looking at, path to a roster is something that's
Yep.
like always kind of in my mind, where you get the path to the roster, you make the roster, and then you get on the field and we see, and that's one of those the things is guys that are working from the back of the roster. How do you get onto the roster? How do you get onto the field? How can you make an impact when you get on the field? And so, yeah, that's awesome. I was creeping a little bit. I saw you were at the American Bowl as well.
I did.
A couple of days ago. Anybody stand out there that worth mentioning? I'm
so
putting
I
you
was
on the
looking
spot a little bit.
mostly on the lines of scrimmage there, but
Okay.
but I'm trying to think. Had some good quarterbacks. Jacob Clark from Missouri State. Man, I was looking at this is line play. I tell you,
Yeah, I
all
get
up and day. But
I'm
like
putting you on
the
the
athletes, Scott Phillips did and his staff did a great job for being at the first year of the event. Talented roster. So excited for it moving forward as well.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, like, floor is yours. Sell whatever you want to sell, do whatever you want to do. And thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. Anyone wants to connect and chat ball or learn more about CGS, I'm on Twitter. MR Rit CGS. Feel free to give me a follow. Always chat ball. CGS is at CGS All Star. thanks for having me on again. This is awesome. I'll come back on anytime, and let's rock and roll in the draft season.
Awesome. I'll have to, we'll get Johnny with Matt here this fall. So thank you,
Oh,
Tom.
that's I love his stuff. I listen to his podcast and everything like that. So it's awesome. So yeah, I would nerd out with him. Like, hey, like what do you see from this perspective? And yeah, I can go on and on. But yeah, that'd be great.
Good deal, man. Thank you.